Well, I represent the United States on the Human Rights Council, and it is one of the principal avenues in which we promote human rights around the world, based in Geneva, Switzerland. One of our close partners on the council is Germany, and so these opportunities offer us an ability to meet with our colleagues, meet with those in which we have long-standing relationships, share values and share ideals, so that we can come up with strategic ways to continue to promote human rights in the most effective way. So I'm here meeting with the Foreign Ministry and the officials there. In addition, though, of course, we'd like to take these opportunities to meet with civil society, meet with the media and others, so that we get a better sense of those things that people care about vis-a-vis human rights. Well, there's a number of country-specific resolutions. This is where the Council takes action on a country that has particularly poor human rights record. So if you look at Burma, for example, Myanmar is a good example, the DPRK, North Korea, Syria, Iran. There's a whole series of countries that have extraordinarily poor human rights records. And what the Council does is it appoints a mandate holder to investigate the human rights, and they can really fundamentally change the conversation about a country. So we work very closely with the German government on that. Germany and us also have worked very closely on, for example, the LGBT protection resolution. We passed it this last September. It was a contentious resolution for some countries, but we stood with our partners in Latin America, in Germany, others in Europe and Eastern Europe, and really around the world, to stand up to say that there should be no discrimination and no violence against LGBT persons, and asked the Office of the High Commissioner to do a report on that. Much of what we do through the Council is task either a mandate holder or the Office of High Commissioner to do further fact-finding on one matter or another. Very important. You know, that goes to a core human rights issue, which is the freedom of expression. The United States runs a resolution on the freedom of expression every March. And this shows how much of a core value it really is. And what you saw in Paris the other day, the protests you saw in Paris, are reflective that we all understand how critical a thing freedom of expression is, and how valuable it is to our democracies, to good governance, and to basically everything that we do and care about. And so we will continue to run that resolution. I think this will inform us on what to include in the resolution. But again, this is another area in which we work very closely with Germany, the UK, and other partners. Well, I would first start off in saying that there have been a number of resolutions both at the Human Rights Council and in New York at the General Assembly on privacy. And the good news story is that despite some challenges and differences in perspective, we have been able to join consensus on these resolutions. And so what that demonstrates is that we can work to find a middle ground, one that we can join together and walk with our friends shoulder to shoulder on an issue like this. There is some, I think, cultural differences in our views on privacy. Those are our starting points in these discussions. And we just need to recognize that, and we need to talk about it, and we need to try to find that common ground, which we have been able to do up to now. The other thing I would say about privacy is that we do fundamentally believe that there is a critical need in some cases for surveillance, and that surveillance enables us to keep people safe, keep nations safe, and so it is a critical aspect of our national security and those of other countries as well. And so it is a necessary thing to do, but we also recognize that there are privacy interests involved as well. And so it's about how do you get that balance right. Well, look, I would start off by saying this. We live in a country that has a federalist form of government, which means each individual state has many issues that it gets to decide for themselves, the death penalty being one. And the federal level, there is a death penalty on the books, but it hasn't been exercised in, I think, just under a decade. With respect to the states, each year more states are either outright abolishing the death penalty or alternatively having a long-standing moratorium on the death penalty. So it's moving in a particular direction. We understand that some of our countries that we work closest with, like Germany, have a different perspective on the death penalty and believe it should be abolished. That's not where we are as a country. We think that this process of states evaluating it for themselves and reaching their own conclusions is the best way to proceed. President Obama has said that human rights is a cornerstone of our foreign policy. I think that's right, and I think it's exemplified in our policies on the ground, both bilaterally with other countries and also through multilateral organizations such as the United Nations generally and the Human Rights Council specifically. We take the position that a world that is more observant of human rights is a more stable world, a more prosperous world, and a better world. And so, since we think those things are virtues, we think that we, as part of our foreign policy, should promote them.